Well, it's Tuesday wrestling, and you all know what that means. As you know, we continue with round two of the Champion Series in NWA Powerrr. We only have four teams involved: Team Great, Team Rock and Roll, Team Rebellion, and Team Tyrus. We also got 11 stacked matches in AEW Dark, of course. They went back to the studios, and of course, Kenny Omega makes his appearance when he takes on Japanese wrestler Hagen Ishino. And of course, we have Ricky Starks bouncing back after his losing that he had at AEW Dynamite at Winter is Coming. Of course, we got NXT with, of course, a brand new champion. But however, it appears now Grayson Waller is ticked off that he's willing to take a shot against Bron Breakker, and also the tag team titles and from both the men's and women's will be defended. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the latest Stardom event that took place on the 17th of December in Takasaki, Gunma. This is day three of the year end tour. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end of 2022. We have about five or six matches. And of course, we got the latest GLEAT show with G Pro Wrestling version 41 as we get closer now to a version 4 taking place later on by the end of this month and the end of the year. And of course, we got some interesting news updates that we're definitely going to be talking about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get started with another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So let's begin with Stardom with the year-end tour day 3 on December 17th in what was it? Yeah, in Sakasaki, Gunma, as you know. It opened up with a three-way match. We have Masa Kurai representing DDM taking on Miyu Amasaki of Queen's Quest and also Hina, also from Queen's Quest. Now, there is a big advantage in this particular match, if you can tell. Basically, we have two members of Queen's Quest that could tag team if they wanted to. Now, Queen's Quest are not afraid to take on each other, but however, that played very well in the advantage for Masakurai in her own way when she applied the My Pan roll onto Amasaki, giving her the win. Next match, we got Stars, consistent of Momokogo, Hanan, and Koguma taking on the Cosmic Angels, Waka Tsukiyama, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. Now, this was a very interesting match, but however, you guys have noticed, there's been a lot of changes with Waka recently. Basically, when she called out Koguma, but you know Koguma how she is. She likes to have a little fun. Basically, she likes to do the little bear pose, but Waka was not having it. She wants her to wrestle, to stop playing around. But basically, when Koguma realized that Waka's being serious, she tagged in Momokogo, and it went very seriously at the moment. So, but there was a moment, of course, if you guys have noticed, people talk about the love that both Tam and Natsupoi have. When Koguma was trying to pull Tam away from Natsupoi, Hana was grabbed in and separated them. It became like a very interesting story. But however, in this, in the final moments of the match, Waka and Koguma went back and forth with the pinfall. But finally, Koguma applied, of course, the Kuma roll, giving her and Stars the win. But however, Waka felt disappointed in this loss. But instead of instead of crying, she told both Tam, but not verbally, but more like the expression. Like she's not gonna cry, she's just gonna walk on her own feet on this one. Now, many people can say this is probably the beginning of Waka possibly leaving. But like I said before, we don't know for sure if that's really the case because, people would speculate a lot of things of what's going on. This is not like Mai Sakurai, who was being suckered in by Julia, who convinced her. But that kind of doesn't work. It's not telling us that story. But that's another story for another time. Next match, we have Oedo Tai, consisting of Fukigen Death, um, Rina, and Saki Kashima taking on the other members of Stars, consistent of Saya Ida, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, this match would have fallen to favor of Oedo due to the cheating, due to that fact that Saki Kashima always pulls off a rabbit out of her butt with the Kishikaze, but no, not this time. It was in fact Rina who took the pinfall when Azuki applied the diving senton. 1, 2, 3. Stars win this match. Next match, we have the other members of Oedo Tai, consisting of Ruka, Natsuko Tora, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe taking on Queen's Quest, Lady C, Utami Hashida, Azumi, and Saya Kamitani. Now, this is one of those matches you can tell it was dangerous, and of course, in this particular one, it was really powerful. But however, Lady C kicked out in every move possible, but it was, of course, with Ruka with her finisher that finished Lady C off, giving Oedo Tai the win. Now, our main event, it features DDM consisting of Tekla, Himeka, Maika, and Julia taking on the members of God's Eye, Tomoka Inaba, Mirai, Amisori, and Suri. Now, keep in mind, in this story, as you can tell, Julia is gunning for the red belt, a belt that she desires the most. But however, we're getting previews of what we've been seeing. It was a pretty good match. I enjoyed everything. But however, in this case, Himeka suffered the loss when she was put in the Baiko submission by Suri, forcing her to tap out, giving a little bit of the momentum to not only God's Eye but Suri as we walk into Ryogoku on the 29th. And we're looking forward to that. Now, I haven't seen the following day of Stardom's year-end tour, day 4, but hopefully I get to see it soon. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on with GLEAT. Okay, the latest GLEAT show. This one took place on the 18th of December. I forgot the venue. This is G Pro Wrestling version 41. It opened up with the Strong Hearts giving an opener. However, they were interrupted by the so-called members of Black Generation, consisting of Kaito Ishida, Flamita, Utani, and Hartley Jackson. Now, as you know, Ishida is gunning for the G-Rex title that belongs to Lindaman, so that sets the whole tone. Now, our first match, we have Kaz Hayashi teaming up with T-Hawk to take on Soma Watanabe and Jun Tonsho of 60 Seconds. I thought the match was pretty great. It showed a lot of how this match was going to be, but however, the strongness of T-Hawk was the real deal that sealed the deal for him to win the match when he pinned Watanabe, and he and Kaz won the match. Next match, we got the Yoshis taking place. We got Michiko Miyagi taking on Yurika Oka from Sendai Girls. I thought this match was unbelievably good. Now, Yurika was not going to give up no matter what Miyagi tried to pull, but apparently Miyagi pulled a tombstone on her, and 1, 2, 3, it was over right from there. But Yurika was impressive. Now, our next match, we have the singles match. We have Keiji Sato taking on Quiet Storm. This is a battle of David versus Goliath. Now, Sato being David and Quiet Storm being Goliath, it said everything. But however, when we thought this match was going to be over, it did not. We thought it was going to end with a brainbuster, but no, it took a big lariat by Quiet Storm to put away Sato, but as soon as he realized he won the match, he was attacked by both Yutani and Hartley Jackson. Hartley Jackson sending a message to him saying he is the big person on the roster and there's nothing he can do about it. But it appears that we're going to see a feud between Jackson um, and Quiet Storm, as you know, because when we all thought the same thing that Ishida was going to join Bulk Orchestra, that wasn't the case. Now, our next match, Kasayashi again, but this time he teams up with um, Seishi Ikimoto and Minoru Tanaka to take on Yu Iizuka and the other members of 60 Seconds, Oji Shiba and Tetsuya Ishida, Izuki. I have to say it was a great match. I did enjoy every moment of this, but um, I was like so impressed with, of course, 60 Seconds. They pulled off great, but it was OG who picked up the loss when he got double stumped by Tanaka, giving them the win. Now, our next match, we have um, Takanori Ito and Masato Kamino taking on Bork Orchestra's current tag team champions, Chek Shimitani and Hayato Tamura. Now, the reason this match took place is because Kamino and Ito wants to have an opportunity of the tag titles, but they have to earn it. But it was a good match, but it was a brainbuster by Tamura to Kamino that allowed them to win. Now, I don't know how Ito feels losing this match, but it was a really good one to enjoy. Now, our main event, we have the members of Strongheart, Il Linda Man, um, IC Onizuka, Shigehiro Iri, and Shima taking on Kaito Shida, Yutani, Flamita, and Harley Jackson. Now, as you know, I mentioned before, Ishida is targeting El Linda Man for the G-Rex title, and he has to pull every stop that it take. However, you probably would have thought this would end with a spear. No, it was, of course, Onizuka with a spear onto Umatani, giving them the edge to win the title. But however, when Strong Hearts won the match, they received a little visit from Chek Kamitani and Hayato Tamura. Now, the reason they called out is because it seems like they're looking for challengers for the tag title. So they called out both Flamita and Yutani, and also Onizuka and Iri. So basically, we're going to see who's going to be challenging for those tag titles. And I think it's going to be interesting to follow. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for GLEAT. I believe let's move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. As you know, we continue with more on the Champion Series. We step into round two. However, certain wrestlers that were involved in the teams that were out of the Champion Series were drafted in the other remaining teams, such as Rebellion, Team Tyrus, Team Great, and of course Team Rock and Roll. So it's a pretty long list. I couldn't remember all of them, but let's see how they do. Now, our first match is the second round. We have Trevor Murdoch representing Team Tyrus. Tyrus was the one who recommended him to join against Black G's wishes, but however, his opponent is Jack Dane. Now, this particular match, Dane was trying to play the smart one here, try to avoid Trevor Murdoch at every corner possible. But the question is, was this a smart play for his team? Now, Dane represents La Rebellion, Team Rebellion, but however, the match ended after 10 minutes in a draw. And I believe both teams received 2 points, which is not good. But according to Silvio, he thinks this was a smart strategy to prove that he is undefeated. I'm like, dude, you made things worse. What if the Team Rebellion does not make it through? That's the problem. But yes. Now, our next match, we have Bully Ray, Tom Latimer, and Judias representing Team Great to take on Chris Adonis, Dak Draper, and Mims representing Team Rock and Roll. I thought this match was great because we see certain dynamics. You have Tom Latimer and Chris Adonis, who were part of Strictly Business, now in opposite corners. That says it all. But in the way. I think I enjoyed how we saw the remnants of Team 3 of the 3D by Bully Ray onto Draper, giving them the win. And I believe this one gave them Team Great 5 points, so that's pretty good. As for Team Rock and Roll, 0. Now, our next match is the women's. We have Allison Kay representing Team Tyrus versus Kylan King representing Team Rebellion. I thought this match was unbelievably awesome because we know how Kylan King is. I have to say she has a pretty bright future. We're still waiting for her to hopefully maybe be signed by NWA, but no. But in this case, Kylan King once again pulled it off with a crossface onto Allison Kay, giving her the win. But however, she did tap out. Allison Kay won, giving, of course, Team Rebellion 6 points with a total of 8. As for Team Tyrus, 0. So right now, in this case, Rebellion is in the lead right now. Now, May Valentine interviews, of course, Father James Mitchell, talk about Judas, how he believes that his team will make it out and he'll be going for some greatness. That's what he believes. But let's see what happens in our last match. We have more of the round 2. We have PJ Hawks representing Team Great, taking on Alex Taylor from Team Rock and Roll. Seems like the match was pretty interesting where PJ Hawks refuses to stay down. But, however, Alex Taylor did what he had to do. He gouged the eyes of PJ Hawks in order to win with the schoolboy, giving them the win. So this is how it ended. Team Great received 0 points, so they stuck at 5. But, however, Team Rock and Roll stick with gained 5 points with a total points of 5. So at the moment, Team Tyrus has 2 points in total. Team Rebellion 8, Team Great 5, and Team Rock and Roll 5. So right now, Team Rebellion is in the lead. But however, at the end of this match, Kerry Moore is not happy with the whole thing. But we'll see what happens in the upcoming, possibly on NWA USA. So we'll just wait and see what happens. So that's pretty much it right now with NWA Powerrr. Let's move on with NXT. I mean, AEW Dark. My bad. AEW Dark. Okay. AEW Dark. As you know, they went back to the studios at the Soundstage in Orlando. It's great to hear them that went back there again. Our opening match, we have Hagane Shinoi taking on Kenny Omega. Now, some of you were probably surprised that he was going to be there. I don't think this is the first time he's ever competed in the Dark stage, but it was pretty interesting. Basically, Hagane, who's the underdog in the story, we know that he's very talented. He's really good for what he made a good impression when he first arrived to AEW, thanks to Hikaru Shida. But in the case of Kenny is losing his mind, he was like treating Hagane either he's saying you're not Osprey, you're not this and that. So basically that sort of thing. But it took the One Wing Angel to put away Hagane and giving Kenny the win. Now we have our latest signing, Action Andretti, taking on Invictus Cash. I thought this match was pretty good. Very interesting, but nothing like the what we had. But he did finish off Cash with the running shooting star press. 1, 2, 3. He's won. Next match, we have Marina Shafir taking on Angelica Riz. Now, you probably can guess this one ends by submission. It always ends by submission. And then our next match, we have Parker Boudreaux taking on Gus De La Vega. This one was has felt like a quick match, but Parker actually won by pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It was done. Now this is a very interesting trios match. We have Angelico teaming up with Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico taking on James Marte, Jarrett Diaz, and Richard Adonis. Now, I was surprised how they were working together, but however, it was of course um, Serpentico who wiped out Diaz and Marte away from um, what's his name, from Adonis to give clear for Angelico to prive the Navarro death roll and boom, force him to tap out. However, Tony Schiavone comes out, gives an interview. It turns out that we have a new team, and this one is consistent of Angelico, Luther, and Serpentico, calling themselves the Spanish Announce Project. Now, it's almost similar to what we have with the Spanish Announce team, but this is very interesting. And yes, Serpentico knows how to speak Spanish. Yes, he's Puerto Rican. But yeah, now our next match we have Julia Hart versus Sahara 7. This one ended in a submission with the Heartless Black one, and of course when Sahara tapped out, Julia Hart refused to let go, but she did let go. Next up, we got Satnam Singh and Jeff Jarrett taking on Dean Alexander and Rosario, but it was of course Jeff Jarrett who picked up the win when he pulled off the stroke onto Grillo, and boom, it was over right from there. Next match, we got the Wingmen, Peter Avalon and Ryan Mendez taking on Sage Scott and Jake St. Patrick, but it took the hunk of love by Menif to Jake to pick up the win. Next match, we have Caleb Connolly Kip Sabian versus Caleb Connolly. This one ended with the twisted neck breaker. Pretty impressive, but yeah. Then we had the TBS title eliminator Jade Cargo versus Dream Girl Alley, but it took Jaded to finally end it. I believe she is 43-0, but sooner or later somehow someone will stop her. And in our main event, we have Cesar Bonoli along with the Wingmen to take on Ricky Starks. It went on fast, not to mention the Wingmen got involved, but it took a spear for Ricky Starks to beat Bononi. But he also said that this coming Wednesday he has something in store. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see what happens then. So let's just move forward with this and go on with NXT. All right, NXT opened up with Carmelo Hayes along with Trick Williams to take on Axiom. I thought this match was great. It was a great opener. People were rooting for Axiom and Carmelo Hayes, but however, the match seems like it could have fallen in the favor of Axiom when he was about to pull the golden ratio, but F.N. Williams pulled down on Axiom mask, giving Carmelo Hayes the chance to finish him off, giving him the win. But however, Axiom retaliated by taking out Trick Williams. So basically, Axiom will get his revenge, but first he has to deal with Trick Williams. Now our next we get our interview with Grayson Waller, who he is in disbelief that he couldn't believe that Roxanne Perez beating Mandy. He thought there was no way, but look what happened. But however, he tried to call a shot against Bron Breakker, but they tried to remind him he was not in the building or anywhere due to a promotional tour for Vengeance Day. But of course, he was calling him out. Grayson Waller called him out the entire night. That's what he was doing. Now, the Don of NXT has agreed to a match with Wesley. Now, keep in mind, the Don blames Wesley for his injury he obtained not too long ago, but Wesley said it was an accident. He didn't intentionally do it, but the Don believes that he was. But he decided to send Stacks to talk to Dijak to inform him that he's going to get his title shot next week, but he does not want him to interfere. So, but of course, near the end of the programming, Stacks went to his locker room, but we don't know what happened since then. But we do know that this match between Wesley is going to happen. Even Wesley is going to be prepared what's going to happen. Our next match is Zoe Stark versus Nikita Lyons. These two former friends, former tag partners, faced off one another. Now, you probably thought Nikita Lyons would have won, but however, referee did not see what transpired when Starks used the rope to pin Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons was not happy. We all saw what happened, but that's what the referee did not see. Now, our next interview, we see Cora Jade, who doesn't seem like she's happy with how things have transpired. Now, Roxanne Perez is our brand new NXT Women's Champion. She's feeling that she stole her moment, all this, but however, she has pissed off Wendy Chu for the last time when she threw her drink right in her face. I think right now Cora Jade needs to deal with her now. Now, our next match is the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. We have Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan, and Jay Jane versus Tatum Paxley and Ivy Now versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carr. Now, keep in mind, Toxic Attraction are trying to reclaim titles that they believe rightfully belongs to them. But however, this is a very tough match. I think it was a pretty interesting one that we get to enjoy. Now, we know the Toxic Attraction will do anything in power to get their titles back, but however, they were taken out. But the one thing that was impressive is how this match ended. We saw Ivy Now put Kaden Carter in a Dragon Sleeper, but what's her name? Kaden Carter was able to reverse that and counter it by pinning her 1, 2, 3 and retaining the titles. This was a huge disappointing loss, and this answers the question: what's next for Toxic Attraction? We do know that Mandy Rose has been released, but what does this mean? Will we see Gigi Dolan and Jay Jane go up to the main roster? We don't know, but I have to say Tatum Paxley and Ivy Now really proved it. But now they need to get back to work to hopefully if they can get back on track to win these titles. Now, we do get a segment going on with Fallon Henley's bar where her family has been financially problems. Here comes Kiana James informing them that she bought the bar. This is something that she did not like, but however, they decided to seal the deal next week, having a match. If Fallon Henley wins, she keeps the bar with no loan. However, if Kiana James wins, she gets it all. So that took place. But it does not end there. Kiana James was in the face oh sorry. In the faces of Henley and Brooks and Jensen, informing them that she's here to see Jensen because he has a big match for the tag team titles. But that's a little later. Now, we do see a very interesting interview with Booker T with Roxanne Perez, student and teacher. You know, they go a long way. Roxanne started singing at the age of 16. And of course, Booker asked her what prompted her to, instead of waiting for New Year's Eve, why now? And she took some words, what Booker T said to her: bet on yourself, you know? That's how she realized after Mandy Rose attacked her from behind, and that kind of sets the whole thing. So that's why she won. She bet on herself, and that's how it is. Now, we do see interesting segments along the way. One of them is New Day and the Pretty Deadly. I know Pretty Deadly are trying to get back on the tag team consistency, but no luck. And then we see Inoue, Blade, and Odyssey Jones bump into Ava Reigns, asking her if she wants to go out. But however, the Schism shows up, try to tell them that they are a bunch of fools and all that. So we will see those teams face off each other next week. Now, we were supposed to have a match with Alba Fire and Sol Ruka, but apparently that match did not go well because apparently Isla Dawn continued to cause a little racket, continues to taunt Alba Fire, but we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match, we have Indy Hartwell and Elektra Lopez. Now, Indy Hartwell has had it with Elektra Lopez trash talking her, saying that she has to learn a thing, all this and that. But however, Indy Hartwell was very impressive until Elektra Lopez pulled off something out of the corner buckle, and it was brass knucks knocking her out. That was how quick it is. You know for a fact Indy Hartwell is not going to let this go. Sooner or later, she will get her payback. Now, we have a lot of things that were taking place. We have the tag team titles. As you know, we have the New Day versus Brooks and Jensen. I thought the match was unbelievably awesome, because we have seen how good the New Day have been, even in the main roster. But Brooks and Jensen, really impressive. Like, we're waiting for them to become the tag team champions. But however, it was um, it was a walking elbow drop by Xavier Woods onto Jensen, and boom, right there it wins. So we're waiting. That was a pretty good match. I think it was pretty amazing. I liked it. Now we get our next segments, as we know. One of them features Waller finally calling out Braun Strowman. Strowman comes out, and apparently that Waller took a page from Bret Hart. If you guys remember, Bret Hart wore a steel plate to take down Goldberg when he speared him. This time it worked for him. Waller is confident enough to believe that at New Year's Eve, he will walk out as the brand new NXT champion. So we will see that happen. But the question is, will Bron Breakker be prepared? Because we know Bron Breakker's been getting in his head. So who knows? So I think that's pretty much it with NXT. I believe it's time to move on with news updates. Okay, welcome to the news updates. Our first update, as you know, we talked about NOSAWA Rongai, who will be retiring very soon. As you know, his match will be in February as the final day with what's his name, with Keiji Muto. His opponents is in a tag match, so he will be teaming up with Masada, Mazada, taking on Bullet Club members Geto and of course Taiji Shimura. It turns out that there's some history with these guys. Apparently that things didn't go so well when they left, and we'll just see what happens then. Now, WrestlePro Alaska is announced for their upcoming event, the Winter Rumble. We're going to have a very interesting match called the Anchorage Anarchy match. We have 8 people involved. Cheeseburger versus Victor Benjamin versus GKM versus Max St. Giovanni versus AJ Radical versus Arun Watt versus Calvin James and Rod Savage. Now, some of these guys I may not know who they are, but some of them I do know who they are. So it's going to be interesting. Never heard of a Anchorage Anarchy match, but I'm going to presume it's going to be brutal. Now, Yoshi wrestler Marika Kobashi, as you know, she made her return back to pro wrestling not too long back last month in November, participating in a P.P.P Tokyo event, teaming up with Sumire Natsu. But however, she tweeted this, and for everyone who, in fact, if you're a big Marika Kobashi fan, if you guys from your general areas know any promoter who wants to sign her to show up to the promotion in the States, this is what she said. I would like to fight in various places in 2023, in Japan or in the world. For offers, please contact me by DM or email. So if you guys have your local promotions in your general area, you can find her on her Twitter account, Marika_TJP. You'll be able to do that, or she has her email if you guys want the promoter to sign her. So just putting it out there for all of you. Now, Wrestling Revolver has some updates for some two of their upcoming events. The 2nd of February, which is the a night in at the Moxbury, we have the tag team titles will be on the line. The newly crowned champions, Dad Scout, Jake Manning, and Dan the Dad, will take on the Bullet Club, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. And then, of course, we got the world title on the line. Steve Macklin will be defending it against Crash Jackson, a guy that was pissed off for stealing two moments of his career. However, big news for them for Wrestling Revolver at the Drip, which is taking place on the 4th of March. We're gonna have the debut of Jonathan Gresham, the Octopus. This is gonna be great news. Now, I did mention that Garden State Pro Wrestling is coming back by the start of next year of 2023. They're going to have Duality, which is their latest show on the 15th of January. Our current GPW GS Pro Wrestling champion, Alan Angels, who is going to defend it. It's still unclear who's the opponent, but we can just wait and see what is going to happen. It will be announced soon enough. Now, our next update for all of the Marvelous fans out there. If any subscribers out there are you're a big fan of Marvelous, they're gonna has announced for their final event of 2023 that will take place on Christmas Day. There's 4 matches they announced. This is gonna take place at the Koyuma Banku Center, and this is the matches they have. First match is a three-way Yuna Manaze versus Queen Aminata versus AI Hosen. Second match, Tomoka Watanabe and Rin Kadokura taking on Miyu Momono and Itsuki Aoki. Third, our semifinal match, we have Chikayo Nagashima and Unagi Sayaka. Hopefully she gets her money back. To take on Maria and Riko Kawahara. But the main event is a men's match. We have Daisuke Sekimoto taking on Leo Izuka. And this is going to be a really fun match. West Coast Pros has announced for their event, Can You Do Fridays? Vinny Masari will be going one-on-one against Ricky Shane Page. That's going to be killer. For our GCW event, Don't Talk to Me, we at the Charlotte, North Carolina. Jordan Oliver will be facing against Kobe Carino. That's going to be also a good match. And then announcements coming from Pro Wrestling Wave. They're going to announce there is going to be a #1 contendership for the Regina di WAVE championship that Hikaru Shida has. It's going to be Risa Serra versus Kahuka. And hopefully Risa Serra wins because it's going to be fun. Now, as you know, Pro Wrestling Noah did some history. They had one match with the Yoshi wrestlers, and these coming from the Nomads wrestlers, Miyuki Takase, Rina Yamashita, Mayuhiki, and Sumire Natsu. This is what Mayuhiki said about this particular match. She said this. I thought there were a lot of customers who don't usually watch girls, but I was happy to cheer them on. It was a very special day to be able to compete with the four of us who plan and manage a freelance summit, Nomads. While working freelancers, we got to be invited in an important place of the final. Thank you. So it appears that maybe fans did like it. I did mention this. I don't know if Pro Wrestling Noah is stepping into the whole thing like what New Japan and Stardom are doing. Some of you are saying, but don't they have an affiliation with Tokyo Pro? Yes, but I feel that Tokyo Pro Wrestling doesn't fit well with them. It could with DDT, but I think with the Nomads would work because they're freelancers. They can book freelancers. I would say they could work with them. So we'll just wait and see. And finally, we do have interesting developments coming from P.P. Tokyo. If you guys remember, I did mention there's going to be a match taking place on the 15th of January for the Mekya. We have Chanyota and Ichika Mayabi taking on Surumi Natsu in a mystery partner, and it's already been announced who is the mystery partner, and I was so happy and surprised. It's Momoka Hanazono. Yes, folks, Momoka Hanazono. She had dealt with Chanyota before when um, they came to her promotion that she works at Colego Pro Wrestling. But the only reason this match is taking place was because the promotion will be in Osaka, which is her hometown. I mentioned this before. Momoka only accepts bookings in her hometown in Osaka, Japan. And I feel like many fans, like myself and any of you guys out there, would agree that she's probably better off trying to expose more of herself outside of Osaka. And there's no point to be just staying in one place. She needs to, expose more of herself. And I think that's what she'll be doing. But I'm kind of happy for her. And this is going to be her first participation with this promotion. I know she dealt with the promoter and various other people in this promotion when they invaded Colego Pro Wrestling. But we'll just see what happens. So I think that's pretty much it with everything we have with the news updates. So it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Dynamite with Holiday Bash. I'm excited for everything that's going to take place. However, there's still some events I haven't seen, like ICW and a few others. If there's any other events I haven't covered yet, I will be doing that as soon as possible. But right now, let's just stick what we have right now with this at the moment. So I think that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.